Welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Pokemon has a bunch of different levels of collectors and investors, and no, I'm not just talking about collectors and investors strictly from a dollar amount of what their collections are worth. I'm talking about different levels of collectors when it comes to the passion that they have for this hobby. Those different levels of passion, like, yeah, you could have your day-to-day collector who's in the hobby just for fun and they want to open packs once in a while. They don't care too much about the cards that are in the set or the history of the sets or the rarity or the scarcity, and they don't really want to dive too deep into the hobby, and that's fine as long as they have a little bit of a passion for it and it's more or less just a hobby and nothing more. It doesn't go too much farther past that. Sure, maybe you have a next level of people that have a little bit more passion. They're willing to go a little bit more in depth. Maybe they stick to just like a certain area, whether it's modern or vintage. They're not willing to expand too much and they don't want to know too much about too many sets. They just want to stay focused in one. And if the market were to crash, they would probably just get out. They're not in it for the long term, but they still have a passion. They still love the IP. They still love Pokemon. They still love the cards. Maybe they still love the chase. That's the next level of collectors, which is also fine. And this hobby will always need people like that. You have that final level of passion of collectors, the people that just have sold a little piece of their soul to the Pokemon gods. And it's a fire that burns real deep inside of you. You could feel it in your gut. It's almost as if you can't shake it. You can't escape it. You can't run for it. It's that fire inside you that is this hobby, and that is the collector that I flock to, the collector that I enjoy talking to, the collector that I want to be around, the collector that I want to interact with. Because that's the amazing thing about this hobby is that passion that so many people have out there. And I've seen it on this channel already. I've seen so many people in the comments who really have that real deep, burning passion for this hobby. And, yeah. The beautiful thing about this hobby, the reason I enjoy it so much, it takes just that right amount of crazy, right? Just enough crazy to really want to dive in and to immerse yourself and become surrounded by it and enjoy this hobby on levels that other people can't really comprehend because they can't understand the passion. And that's the hardest thing to explain to somebody is how you could have such a deep burning passion for this hobby. And that's a beautiful thing too of this hobby, is this hobby really at the end of the day, you get to control your own destiny. No one else gets to control your destiny. It's a beautiful thing because when it comes to accountability, you could just look at the mirror and you can look at the image looking back at you, and you don't have to worry about having too in-depth conversations. There's only one person to blame. There's only one person you have to look at. You make your own choices. You make your own decisions. Some of those decisions are good. Some of them will be bad. Some of them will be really bad. Some of them will be so fantastically great that they could potentially change your life forever and change the trajectory of your life. And yeah, does it help to have some money in this hobby and be able to buy more than you might be able to if you don't have a lot of money? Sure, that definitely helps. But at the same time, this hobby has so many, low entry points that you can easily get in and start to grow your collection. And that's a magic word, right? Is growing. Not just coming in one day and buying every single thing on the market and then having your collection 100% complete. There's no fun in that. It's all about growing. And if you grind and you really care about it and you really try, there's nothing you can't do given enough time. Yeah, a lot of cards, a lot of sets, a lot of product might seem out of reach right now if you're not really actively buying and selling and doing everything you can to grow your collection. Yeah, a lot of those things can seem like they're far away, but they're really not. If you really lower your head and you really grind, they're all attainable in the long run. No, I'm not an investment professional. I do not give investment advice. But at the same time, all I can at least tell you is if you're going to be in Pokemon, at least don't have all your eggs in one basket with Pokemon and don't have any other investments. And you know what? I'm actually tired of having to hear people say that, and I'm tired of having to say that myself because nobody out there, I believe, is that stupid. I believe everybody out there understands that, and the risks that you're taking in this hobby, as long as you're taking risks that you're comfortable with and that it's money you're willing to lose or willing to make, it's fine. Sure, there's a lot of great investment strategies out there that you definitely should be doing. A lot of the more passive investment strategies where it's, put in, your full match to your 401k or your brokerage account or your IRA, or, maybe if you're later in life, you got like annuities and whatever you're doing, maybe all you want is just really safe S&P 500 investments, and you're just looking at mutual funds that all they do is follow the S&P. That's fine if that's what you want to do. Super passive stuff. All you do is you send money away to an account one day and it buys shares of some S&P 500 index fund, and yeah, you could just do that for the next 50 years and you'll be fine, and you'll probably do really well, and you'll chase whatever the market does by the time you retire. That's great. You should have all these passive type investments, but you can also do another thing, which is Pokemon, which is a very active investment. So I totally understand it. Everyone always gets upset when you call Pokemon an investment, but guess what? At the end of the day, that's what it's turned into. At least a lot of our collections have turned into investments, whether we wanted them to become investments or if we didn't want them to become investments. Given enough time, they just happen to increase in value. You can't get mad at yourself, or you definitely can't get mad at other people. Just the fact that their collections are now worth money, and you can't get upset with them that you just want to go back to the true collecting aspect. Yeah, that collecting aspect will always be there, and it's such an important part of this hobby, but you can't ignore the investment side of it either, because then it's just foolish, right? To ignore, all the hard work that you're put in, that it has had a beneficial impact in your life, from an investment standpoint. You can't ignore it. Yeah, if it was super easy, everybody would be doing it. And don't get me wrong, it feels like everybody's doing it right now because there's so many areas in the market that are really easy. We're seeing price increases across the board on so many different products across so many different sectors. Yeah, it seems like it's really easy, but I'm going to let you know right now, a lot of that super easy money is just the mob mentality. And you want to know a spoiler alert for this hobby and the history of this hobby? The mob mentality, for the most part, hasn't really been right. And if anybody tells you that the mob is always right, they're wrong. You know why? Because there's not everybody out there who picked up, $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, maybe $1,000 PSA 10 first edition Charizards. Not everyone did that. All the people that were in the mob and they claimed that they were doing it, they weren't doing it. So you can't always stay with the mob. And I hate that argument, right? That if everyone's doing it, there's obviously money to be made. Yeah, sure. Go after the easy money. But if you really got a deep burning passion for it and you love this hobby so much, as always, and I've said it in so many different videos now, you really have to dive into this hobby. You really have to start immersing yourself with more of the sets, with more of the cards, or more of the characters. You do have that passion. I welcome you to come on that journey with me and this channel and to continue to grow in this hobby. But more importantly, if you allow me to join you on your journey, because that's what I'm more interested in, that's what really gives me a lot of passion, is to watch everyone else around me continue to succeed, continue to grow. And I don't care where your starting point is in this hobby. I don't care if your starting point was 1996 or 99 or 2003 or 2009 or today. I don't care. I don't care what that starting point was, because sure, maybe everyone has their start point, but the beautiful thing about this hobby is nobody has an end point. And I hope you don't have an end point, because if you continue to grow and you're in this hobby, it's an infinity amount of time, at least from now until your last breath. You do have that ability to enjoy this hobby for that long. And, spoiler alert, Pokemon's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's going to continue to grow because there's so many people out there that have that passion, that have that desire, like I do, like I hope you do. But there's a million other people out there who are just like us. And that's why this hobby is the best hobby in the world, in my opinion. And it would be almost impossible for anybody out there to change my mind. But that's the beautiful thing. As I said before, the people that are really successful in this hobby have just the right amount of craziness sprinkled on top to make it amazing, to make it special, to make it wonderful. And you know what? Sure, you can go back and look at the people that have been the most successful in this hobby, whether it's Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or whatever you want to look at, any type of trading card game, any type of collectible. At the end of the day, they have to have just the right amount of crazy, because that's what it takes at the end of the day to continue to be successful. And yeah, you know what? Was there really a topic of this video? No. Do I like to go off on rants once in a while? Hell yeah, I do. And that's why this channel exists. And I hope you guys enjoy these rants. But listen, if you enjoyed this rant and you've somehow made it to the end of this video, thank you. But at the same time, why are you not subscribed to this channel? And if you did make it to the end of this video and you do have that passion, you understand exactly what I'm talking about, because you have that same fire, you have that same passion, you are on that higher level of Pokemon collecting where it means something a little more to you than just the actual physical cards, but you love everything around it, almost an aura that comes out of the cards, that comes out of the hobby, the passion that it gives you. If you're like that, hit the like button. Let me know down in the comments. But other than that, guys, thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next video.